I mean, the fourth class.
Oh, okay. Like, we met yesterday.
It was. Did anybody go to Red, White, and Boom?
My children.
It's called Turn the Lights Out. Put the volume on the TV set. You feel like you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I do. Thank you.
All right, so we are live. I'll try not to pick my nose in the screen.
This is an interesting password.
Uh-huh. Yes, it was.
So nibble. Oh.
Assuming that means we're present. We're doing it.
I guess. That's what everybody else
The
did.
password and log on for the Wi-Fi.
Oh, for the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
anything
Just
we
read
have
summary.
to
That's
do.
what I was
doing. Separate. That's what, yeah.
You're good. Just read summary.
My friend's like,
Help me. And I went over and looked at it.
Fun.
And it's beautiful. It needs some work, but like not a complete gut job.
That's, yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Where is that email with everybody's email?
Did you guys get the video? April.
this is that other book. Yeah, I'm in Akron.
Oh, okay.
But my parents live in Marion, so I usually see them midweek and then.
Didn't they? That's
So
really
you
not
just come down
like chapters
like
six.
yeah. I love this.
Well, I was here last night for 4th of July, so yeah. Just
Gotcha.
yeah.
My husband and I were actually up in Akron.
Oh, where?
Fest.
Oh,
You want to see the band that was there?
Nice.
So
Where were
Oh,
you?
scan my notes.
it was nice. And we didn't pick very well for the band. I mean, they were okay.
Yeah.
That's a note.
They were like, oh, I don't want to wait that long.
Right.
I know that.
All right.
That's
What
right.
did
It was beautiful. That's really nice.
And then the plot there, they talk about like teaching them plots.
Oh,
Your read
walk
aloud.
through.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
And teaching them the sequencing and then the different types of narratives. To help them brainstorm. So it's pretty much it. And writing audience.
that? Was it?
Mhm.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure something out. Where is everybody's email addresses?
On here. It's on here.
Yeah, but did I have it? Yeah, right here. I didn't want to type them all again.
I like forgot it was Wednesday.
Did
Easy to
you?
do with the holiday.
There we
Oh,
go.
my
You
bad.
didn't have it tonight?
Yeah, yesterday felt like.
I pulled in and then I checked on my sheet and I was like, sure. But I went here.
Help in. Hillary, have that.
Okay, I think this will work.
I think this would be a good one to share with the book, share with the book. A lot of it's review for me, but like the classroom, we've got videos. I did ask them to cover something. I won't be, I will be. Maybe.
She applied for the other two. I know, I saw that.
I had to RSVP to a trivia.
Because I noticed that. I was like, wait, but she's back on.
Yeah. I know that Denise got married.
I know it's not. Did you watch? Did you do a friend request to her?
She went with us.
Did you watch the video?
No, I just like
Oh, so cute. Watch the video. They put it together.
Okay.
No, that's good. So she might not.
Did you guys need these or? You guys already have these, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I. Okay, it's gonna be an intimate group tonight.
This.
Yeah. I'm not showing favoritism. There's just three there.
Evening is that, so she probably hasn't heard it. Probably not. I think she was saying the 50/50.
We could stay for 2 hours.
You can tell us what you learned from your
Oh, you know what? They talk. There is this website. I have to do this. Like that here today. It's called Nepris, NEPRIS.com, where you can connect professionals with students. I know that sounds weird, but there's like 18,000 professionals on this website. They're all fingerprinted and background checked. And you can put in a request. So say you want like a chemical engineer or something, and then you put what standards you want them to talk about, and they'll do it. And like Skype into
What's
your
that
class.
again?
It's called Nepris, NEPRIS.com.
EPRIS.
I thought about jotting things down, like not just spewing them out of my mouth and having them written down. That was cool. I don't know if anybody uses Newsella.
Yeah.
They're coming out with some new stuff.
Ooh, their newer pro version this year was nicer.
Yeah, and they're coming out with a new logo.
Oh.
I know, right?
Do they have anything for younger students?
I don't think so. I think they even referenced they were getting some older students stuff. Do you ever use Pebble Go?
No, I've never heard of that. I think Alex has
Oh.
that on. Have you checked out the Swell Place? No, I haven't.
What is it?
Our guy, let's see if I can find it. Put a bunch of stuff together. Is it in the Google?
I have to get a pen. It was in my book.
In your I get a picture of the student. This is my hidden name.
Okay, I'll forward this to you, but this already went there. It's science.google.
My favorite.
Just you forward it.
Yeah, I'll just forward you the email.
That's easier.
Then you can.
Okay. Because by the time I put in this string,
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, like.
Because he came when we were doing those, like, we do the monthly SIAP meetings. Yeah, didn't do it last year, but it was 2 years ago. He was doing all that. But it has like newcomer stuff for math, science, language arts, foundations. Double goes on there. Audio Tumble Book Cloud. I don't know if you guys have ever used
I
that.
like Tumble books.
I've not used that before, but
I like it.
just stuff he put together.
Is it a site?
Yeah, it's sites.google.com.
/700.
Yeah.
72.
/A SWC, no, /A, that's it. SWCSD, Southwestern City Schools District.us.
SWCSD. .us.
Yeah, /A hyphen swell, like, isn't that swell?
It is.
Like
Hyphen
place.
Hyphen place.
Yes.
A swell place.
Oh,
It's cute. I don't know if I got it right, but I'll check it.
you'll probably Google your way there too,
I could.
eventually. Oh,
The conjunction zone.
There it is.
Sorry.
Trying to think of what. Oh, there was a bunch of stuff. You know, the coolest thing that I saw, which is not related to us in any way. So I was presenting at one side of the poster table, and on the other side, there were these high school boys. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? So they said, they're from Kentucky, and they said that they were frustrated by the fact that they couldn't tell exactly when the bus was gonna get there. And so a lot of kids were like missing the bus or whatever, right? So they created with, you know, like the chips in your credit cards. So they created these strips that went on the bus. And so when it went past a certain school or stop, it scanned it. And it would go into an app, so the kids could go, oh, my bus just passed such and such street. I better get ready.
That is so cool.
Isn't that? I was like, and I must have said that 600 times. I'm like, that is really cool. But like, are you selling that to other districts? And he says, no, so far it's just ours. But like the three of them were all going off to college, like in 3 different places. But I'm like, it's
Totally
cool.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Get the patent
Like
for
there was
that.
a problem
Yeah.
that they had and they solved it.
I mean, they could be like millionaires on
I know, and
They should
Go
go
just
Shark
'cause-
Tank. Yeah.
yeah, it was a technology conference. I don't know if I said that.
Even in college, when I was on a main campus at OSU, I would walk everywhere because I was so intimidated by all things bus. Like if
Oh, yeah.
like I didn't ever once ride the bus.
And if you would have had that, you could have. It'd be even better if like you could put money in the app too. You wouldn't need that in high school. You don't pay to rent the bus, so. Should wave in the future. All right. So chapter 4 is teaching narrative writing.
Just like probably the security device.
Yeah, it must be some random sticker on my page. Sorry.
What?
I don't know if there's some random
Oh,
sticker. I was trying to pick it. Hi there. Yeah, let's do it again.
I just skip
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see. Let's do it. Can we real quick go around and do introductions?
Yeah.
Because there's some new faces. I'll start. I'm Melissa. I'm your facilitator, but I wasn't here the last 2 weeks. I was on vacay. Now I'm back. I'm Melissa. I teach in Dublin City Schools. I'm an ELL teacher. Let's go this way.
Sure. Lisa Hayes. I'm working with first grade students as a TESOL specialist in Southwestern. That's right. I am Amy Faith. I will be with either 5th or 6th next year, maybe. Southwestern City Schools, TESOL.
The intermediate building. Right?
Yeah. That whole
I'm Allison Gordon. I'm at Holt Amy. I'm in Southwestern, and I'm actually a regular classroom teacher.
Good for you.
I'm learning a lot. I mean, it's a good review.
Where are the rest of
Yeah.
them?
Because
I forwarded this email out to people who are like, I can't.
yeah, I mean, I have had ELLs every year, so.
Yes.
Name's down. Allison.
You were Alyssa?
Melissa.
Melissa.
It's okay. Call me whatever you want.
I'm Tracy Craig. I am teaching, this year I actually will only be working with first grade ELLs. I'm a TESOL. That's all I do.
Where are you?
Horizon Science Academy. But we have 42% ELL population at the K-1 level. So I was K-1. This year we've doubled our enrollment. So I'm
So are there 2 of you? Are there 2 of you?
There are 5 of us.
Oh, good. I was gonna say.
Yeah, last year we had 204 ELs in K through 5. And
Wow.
like I said, we are starting at the lower levels, we're doubling for next year.
Horizon Science Academy.
And some more sure. So anyway, yeah, so I'm really in a tight niche.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
that'll be good though. I think this
I love
chapter
the-
was helpful for me personally.
yeah, I'm anxious to hear what y'all have to say, because I don't really get to do a lot of writing. It's so broad and we're so understaffed, we don't get to see kids that often, so I don't really get to dig in with them. It's not like I see them every day,
Yeah.
maybe twice a week.
Mhm. And that's hard.
Oh,
That's my
my.
schedule too.
I pushed last year, I got my level ones, my beginners, I got to see them 3 times, plus a special. But that's as good as it gets.
I had one school this last year that I was in on Fridays. Just one day.
So I haven't had the opportunity at those lower levels to do, I mean, we did process writing,
Right.
you know, like first, next, then last,
Uh-huh.
finally. But beyond that, it's not like they're making up stories with me directly, you know. So
Right. And you seem that infrequently, you feel like you have to prioritize.
it's just
what
real,
you-
it's
Right.
very hit or miss. I mean, I can't even purchase a curriculum because I feel like there's no point,
Right,
because we wouldn't be able to do it justice. Why
yeah,
would I choose?
and then getting it to transfer into the regular classroom, I
Yeah.
find is always difficult.
Yeah, we use Journeys and they have an ELL component to that, so I kind of piggyback on that and just follow them through. And try to do.
Who makes journeys?
So Houghton Mifflin, I
think so.
think it's Houghton Mifflin.
Have you been on, now we're talking about
Yeah,
websites.
do it.
I'm totally.
The
Yeah.
Wheatley site from Des Moines City Schools or something has a whole ELL journeys thing. It
Say
has
it
like
again.
videos for each unit and stuff. It's Wheatley, somebody made this Wheatley site, but it's from Des Moines.
How did I spell that?
Weebly?
Yeah.
WEEBLY.
Uh-huh.
It's a free website platform.
So if you just Google Des Moines Wheatley ELL, it should probably pop up. It's like a long thing, so. But it has like, I love it because it's each grade level, and then you can find for each unit has like, it even has writing prompts and videos and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
if I ever hear somebody using Journeys, I always
I'll
throw
make
that
sure,
up. 'cause
I'll
it's
make
a
sure
good
my
one.
teachers know that too.
Yeah.
So you guys use Journeys?
Mhm.
Have you, I heard that ReadWorks had components that went with Journeys.
Yeah.
That's the way they call it. I haven't gotten that far because I didn't.
I haven't used
use
that
any.
as
I'm just curious
much.
if you have.
Mhm. I've heard that though.
They have a lot of pair texts.
I don't know.
They
Yeah.
have literature units
It's a free
already made
website.
for you for each grade level.
Readworks.org.
Topics that they have.
But I think it pairs right with, like, it's designed to work with Journeys. I just haven't.
Yeah.
I just use my
You want
local readers.
informational literature or poetry. You can focus on certain skills you want.
No way.
Yeah, it's
Passages.
in passages.
I even give it to parents because they can just, you just need an email. So I'll give it to parents and
Alright.
asking for more things to do with their kids at home.
Nice.
And they look, for the older students who are low level, it still looks very grown up,
Okay.
so to speak.
So let me throw out one more thing, since we're on the topic. There's a website, I don't know if there's a pen, I'll have to spell it. It's a search engine called Instagrok. So I have to write it. You can turn it on. INSTAGROK.com. I'll look. So Instagrok, the way it works is you can pull up, let me see, I'm live streaming on that one. I'll figure it out later, but anyway.
Everyone's watching.
So I sent out the link. I hope I did it right, but anyway, trial and error. So you go to the website and you type in dogs or whatever, and then it will pop up the word in a box, and then it has all these like webs coming off of it. And it might be food, bathing, whatever, like other related topics to the dog, right? Excuse me. And then the upper left-hand corner, there's like a sliding scale. So you can lower it and the words get easier on the screen and then you can go up and they get harder. And then even when you click on like the related words, it will do that, the easier, harder. And then a box pops up and it'll say like websites, videos, images, and it kind of breaks it down a little more granularly. So it's a pretty cool search engine. All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to
awesome.
apologize. As you see, there's no agenda. There's no agenda. Nobody knows we're going out of order. We're just here. Next, Cincinnati Reds.
I'm Michelle McCaig. I teach 2nd through 5th grade ELL students at Cranbrook Elementary School in Columbus. I taught K through 2 for a long time. 4 years ago, switched to 2 through 5.
How many kids you have to?
Just me personally, about 40.
What did you say?
You're just first grade.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
You know what? I feel so much better coming here.
That's nice. Lisa doesn't.
Oh, no, I do. I love the collaboration.
No, it is.
No, I mean that I'm like, oh, yeah,
You're not
I
alone.
feel like I really need to appreciate my situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, those days when I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, I can think of you, how you're feeling. I need to appreciate.
What's our minutes? So I'm there.
You're at 61.
Lisa, what school are you at?
Sorry.
That's right. I was thinking.
61 first grade EL students. And how
How
many
many first
classes
grade
is
you
that?
That's 5 classes.
I'm sure I'll have that. I'll have 5 classes.
Yeah, I'm sure
At least they all said.
they may. We shall see. Last year, we had a person take one of the classrooms.
Okay.
So we did.
Hello.
You've missed a lot.
Oh.
We're just really
So
going
sorry.
around and telling each other our names again.
Oh.
We haven't missed much.
I can sit back here and be squeezy.
I'm Molly Wynn. Molly. I teach at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, which is near Akron. I teach K to 5.
You have a commute.
Yeah. So my parents live in Marion, so
Oh,
I
okay.
see them midweek and then just come down.
That works.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing on Wednesdays too, but I live in Marion and my family's in Bucyrus, which is the other way, so like that's.
So that's good. Nothing else?
You teach in Marion.
Yeah.
With,
And I live in Marion.
with
Jessica, yeah.
Jessica.
So my name's Mary Beth. Last year I was K through 6 in 4 buildings. I have no idea what my life will look like next year yet.
Join the crowd.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
so
We'll be there.
I'm somewhere.
We'll work it out.
I know.
Oh, am I in the hot seat?
Yeah.
I'm Teresa Reeves,
That's right.
and I'm in Westerville.
I remember I asked you if that was an H, and you said, no, it's really.
Just TRESA.
You're going to be like a coach next year, right?
Yeah, it's called a facilitator, but it's a coach.
We all have our different.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
go.
Sorry, I'm late. My other class got out late today.
No worries, no worries.
Maybe coaching just EL teacher?
Yes, in Paris.
That's nice.
So,
When you retire, can I have your job?
yes, please.
Yeah, really.
Like,
You need an assistant?
Yeah.
All right, so chapter 4 was about teaching narrative writing.
We're trying to do something.
You know, I thought it was interesting that you mentioned on 71
They're talking about TV.
the influence of translated books. That when they read them, students are being exposed to the American story structure rather than one that's more typically used in their culture. I guess I never really thought about how the story structures would be so different. I don't know why.
I didn't think of that.
I feel like I should have known that, but I didn't. But go ahead, Sean.
I was just make quite checked. So I know the oral story structure is very different in different cultures, but is the written story structure
Written
that much?
It's very different.
Is
Like,
it?
when I studied Spanish in undergrad, and speaking and writing nothing is direct. Like if I wanted to ask you to move, I'd be like, well, this and this and this, and if you just wouldn't mind, yeah, excuse me. Like in Spanish, like everything kind of goes around and then back to it, like.
Japanese is kind of that way.
Yeah, and I think that Japanese and Chinese are kind of like, I had a diagram somewhere, like you kind of write in a circle.
Yeah.
And then in Spanish, like you're like, oh, and then here we go. And then if they don't even have like, when you're your Somali kids, they don't read in
Right.
Somali, there's oral language and
They can't read it.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like I didn't know that until I started learning another language and I was like, why does everybody think I'm so rude?
I had a Japanese student and I could not like focus on what he was telling me ever.
Yeah.
I'd be tuned out for like 10 minutes. When are we getting there? And then he told me, he like explained this to me, like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree. I have never really thought about how the actual story, the written, is that much different.
Would you be graded poorly if you wrote it in like an American directional way?
I mean, I was
Or would it
graded.
be confusing or something that way?
My Spanish wasn't perfect when I was there, so I got like solid 7s out of 10.
Okay. We're C students.
Yeah, I was a C student there, but in the like, I took both classes with native speakers and then like international kid classes. So in international kid classes, I was like a star. But then I was doing linguistics, so it was kind of technical writing, but we'd talk about things and I'd be like, what's the point? But then I did contrastive grammars of English and Spanish, and that's kind of where we really went into like the sentence structure and pragmatics of that. It was really interesting, but I still would like have structural issues writing. And then I just failed an anthropology class. Yeah. I don't know why I did that. Credits.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that, like with the Latina girls, sometimes they'll be trying to tell me like what they did.
So it makes sense in why they mentioned sequencing and how
Yeah.
that's important and reading the stories multiple times and then they set on the sentence strips and having them organize it.
Mhm.
I remember Andrea doing that a lot and it makes sense now.
And like sentence, like the concept of time, like we have a very linear concept of time culturally, but like in Mexico, like historically their concept of time is more circular. Like they're probably more linear now, but like the indigenous things, they still have a different like idea of time culturally, so it's shows up in writing. So I found that the Flat Mountains helped a lot when we were teaching reading and writing. And then in the 5th grade, like they're supposed to be able to like analyze how a certain section fits into the overall structure. And like we're able to kind of
Did you
touch
say
on it.
Flat Mountain or the Flat Mountain?
The plot map. on 74, or diagram.
Not to Mountain. Oh, okay. I'm
Or
sorry. I thought you said
plot
the flat.
posters.
Yeah, the roller coaster.
Flat Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, is that something in the standards that I'm on?
It could be, you never know.
Yeah, you missed that, Michelle.
The plot, gotcha.
Do you guys ever read? Oh, I know we do read a lot. Let me finish my thought. Do you ever read? Do you ever read books to your students in other languages?
For me, my accent is so bad that it confuses them. Like, they don't know what I'm saying, which is then frustrating for me. I'm like, this is, and
Yeah, I don't know Japanese. I'm not privy to that.
Well, there's when we read like Esperanza Rising and the kids love it. They'll say it like I'll pause and then they'll say it because they know I'm gonna butcher it. It's so horrific. And so I'm like, and I'll ask them, do you mind? And the other kids love it because they don't hear it. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. And so I try to.
I sometimes have my kids read to me. You could just read to me. I just want to listen. I don't know what they're saying, but it's just beautiful. Anyway, I think. So the top of 72, I marked that structure was only one component of the writing. At the top, thoughts and ideas are the content of writing, and the content depends on the writer's reasons for writing, the topic of the piece, and the audience, which is then kind of explained throughout the rest of the chapter. But I think sometimes we focus so much on the structure and that it needs to be 5 paragraphs and it needs to be this and it needs to be that or whatever, that we forget all of those other parts, like what are we going to write about, or who is going to be reading it. And I think later on in the chapter, it rattled off a statistic that I'm going to draw a blank on, but it was like, talked about that kids are writing for their teachers at
It was a high
rate.
percent. It was like 80 or 90%.
Yeah, like they're just writing things for their teachers, which I
Now, when
would
they're
think
talking
would
about the
be
audience.
boring. Yes. Where did I see that?
Maybe an 83 is for audience.
Okay, I'm thinking of these. Oh, yeah, I found that more than 95% of them were written for the teacher. I know I'm skipping ahead, but let's skip ahead to that real quick since I'm talking about it. So what other audiences have you written for your kids, other than just you? Anybody?
The principal.
Okay, and what do you do for the principal?
Yeah, we have the Lucy Hawkins unit, so there's like the whole chocolate milk. Should we ban it or keep it in the cafeteria for an opinion thing? So they write to the principal for that, and then I make them write to her all the time.
Does she write back?
It depends on if I actually give it to them.
Oh,
But
Like,
okay.
we'll give them a heads up when the kids ask them about it. Just be like,
Yeah.
hey, pretend you know.
Oh, for
Yeah.
Pete's sake.
we have over 700 students in our building, so. And some of them are very needy.
Gotcha.
Don't always have time to respond to kid letters.
So you write to the principal. Anybody else do?
Students write letters, authors. I don't. Well, actually, this is when I was co-teaching, so maybe they send it back. Because I was just working with the ELO students
Mhm.
in the main classroom. She actually sent it to the author. I think they may have gotten a class letter.
So are they writing about the book that they had read and their thoughts on it, or? Do you remember?
Sorry. remember. No, I think they did an author study. So then they wrote to them about their favorite book that the author wrote and why they liked it. An opinion piece.
Mhm.
Two of my favorites are always writing to the president because you always get back a glossy photo.
Oh,
And you always get back a letter with the seal of the White House on it. No matter who the president is, you always get it. And the kids really think the president himself, right? Sure. Like, yeah, there's like, some intern somewhere, political science major.
Right.
But it always has a picture. And when Bush, the junior, the son, was in office, it always his dog on the picture too. He always sent a picture of him and his dog. So it's always a plus. But the other one is we write to parents. I've always had my students write to parents and invite them to conferences or the musical, because then I know it's going to get home because the kids actually wrote it.
Sure.
And if it needs to be translated to mom and dad who may speak another language, well, there you go.
Yeah.
The child wrote it, so it's in words that are within their own lexicon, so they can translate it. So they write, dear mom and dad, would you like to see the wonderful book I wrote at school? Well, come on Thursday night at 6.
Nice.
Whatever.
Nice.
We do journal, and well, it's for the teacher, but they're like writing in their diary of someone else, and then they get to share it as a character from the book. And we were doing Esperanza Rising. It's like, well, she does speak Spanish, so if you want to write in Spanish, go ahead. And they really identify with them. I loved it. My kids do. And then also a lot of times we tell them that their audience is their classmates. Like they'll present, they have to write their book talk plan out. So they're technically writing for us, but their audiences, other students, or to teach them something. We've had them write to 4th graders before, but we did not this year. The incoming.
Does anybody ever blog with their kids?
We have quite a bit of blogging going on in our school. Upper grades, though.
We adopted Schoology as our learning management system. And there's a component in it where you can blog. And I pushed into an 8th grade language arts class, and our class was the only class that was blogging. So the audience was a little small because it was a group of 27 8th graders who all knew each other, but nonetheless. So we blogged almost every Wednesday. We had a computer lab, and we would blog about books they had read. If they just finished a writing piece, they would upload, copy and paste that writing piece into a blog post. They'd write about their weekend. They had some free writings that they could throw in there. And then each week, then 2 kids would, we had fancy popsicle sticks in 2 different colors, and they would grab one in each color. And those were the 2 kids they had to comment on. So they wouldn't always comment on Joe Schmo's because, that was their buddy. But I'm hoping to expand it a little bit and do different things with it this year. I know there are some ELL teachers that I know in North Carolina that they pair up and they will blog together. They use kid blogs, and I was told we weren't allowed to use that. So, and what's nice about Schoology, the way we use it, is nobody outside of our school can read it, and we had to get permission to get another class to be able to view ours from another building in the district. So it's a little more secure than others. And on that list on 413, they have social networks. Does anybody have their kids? I know we're all younger. Was somebody saying something? you. Has anybody ever, does anybody have like a Twitter page for their class or a Facebook page? I don't know Facebook page, but you guys do any of that? I'm sorry?
We're not allowed.
We're not allowed to. Do what, Twitter?
No.
Really?
Lots of It's a lot of employees to. I don't know, it might change. We have like our,
Does your school have a Twitter page?
Yes. You used to post stuff to Twitter.
yeah, and we have like our school has a YouTube page, so we'll put stuff, we'll send stuff to the principal, but like me as like Miss Tate, can't have one. Or Facebook.
I don't know if I'm supposed to have YouTube. I'll ask for forgiveness later.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
Things you do for your, when you put your students' stuff on it?
So now when I say students, I'm talking about this 8th grade class, and there were only a handful of ELL kids in it. So most of them were mainstream kids, but the other lady that I co-teached, that's good, Melissa. Co-taught. Oh my goodness. I need to go back to bed. We started a Twitter page, not necessarily for the class, but for the two of us, that we would post pictures and things of our kids doing things. It was called A Bicycle for Two or something like that. And then we started a blog called A Bicycle Built for Two. And I probably should have researched that a little bit more, because when our kids went to go search for it, the first one that pops up is something very similar, like a bicycle, something like Built for Two, is like some sort of lesbian wedding page. I was like, wait, no, that's not ours. We're right below it. No, we're this one. But nonetheless. So on YouTube, our kids made book trailers. You can use iMovie if you're in an Apple district. There's also Bunsy. Anybody ever use that? I love Bunsy. Okay, write that down. You can get EduBunsy, so it's edu.buncee.com. They have a free version. I did pay for the upgraded version. It was $10 a month, just because I wanted all the bells and whistles. But and it's really geared more toward elementary kids. The 8th graders, you know, they didn't complain, but it's a little more juvenile looking. But you create slides, and it's cooler than, you know, like Google Slides or something. And you upload it differently to YouTube, and then it creates the video. But anyway, so our kids made these book trailers for all these books that they read. They each made 4 throughout the year. So we had like over 100 book trailers made. And then we worked with our librarian, and I got big address labels. They come on forward to a sheet, and I created QR codes and put the book title, the name, and the year that they made it, and then our librarian put them in the front of all the books in our library. So they could, you know, come back and go, you know, whatever. And I put them all under my YouTube, and they're unlisted, so the only way you can see it is through that QR code, or if you have the link, which nobody has the link because they're all under me. But you know, some of them were like, could have been a little better, but some of them were really good. And like, we didn't give a lot of, we gave them a rubric, and this is what you need to include, but we didn't tell them what program to use. Of course, I had some that I had used before. iMovie is great because they have a movie trailer that you just drag and drop pictures into, and it makes it for you, but it's device specific. So you have to go back to that same computer every time, which can be tricky when you're sharing a computer lab with other people, you know? But Bunsy is not like that. I also used Adobe Spark, was another program our kids use. Powtoon. Oh my gosh, write that down too, it's so good. Powtoon. It's another presentation, Powtoon. I don't think there's an S on it.
P-O-W?
Like pow.
Oh.
Not pow, not
I
pow.
didn't
No.
As in tune like song, that's all. She said P-O-W, tune like cartoon.
Yeah, Powtoon, sorry.
The videos.
I was in Texas for a week, now I can't talk right. I don't know how these computers turn on. Anyway, it's fabulous. Another easy way to make presentations for your kids. And what's cool is it'll like put the hand like it's writing it. I don't know, I like that. And it's animated. But that's a cool place. And then while we're still talking about websites, another one I learned about when I was at my conference is Slides Carnival. Slides, like a slidecarnival.com. Like you didn't know what a slide was. Anyway, I can't log in. Slides Carnival. You can go to that site and it has hundreds of slide templates so you find one you like, you click the download to Google Drive and it goes right into you have to make a copy and it goes into your drive so then you have it forever. And I used one for the conference that I was just at. And I'm telling you, there were, I took one slide template and there were probably 25 different slides underneath it to make it, more customized. And it looked cooler than just the Google Slides because they don't give you a lot of templates. And I like cool. So I was like, yeah. But that was one I learned. Okay, I don't even know what we were talking about.
You were asking about.
Oh, right.
Students write to.
Right, those authentic.
I taught
Yes.
Students, we had read a book about making soup.
Yeah.
So the students made some soup, or actually, they asked for permission to make soup from the principal. The principal said yes. So then we wrote a letter to invite the principal to lunch.
Oh, I love
And
that.
they wrote a letter to invite their gen ed teachers as well.
Oh,
And
did they
so
come?
They all came.
Oh, I
And
love
they
that.
wrote back thank you letters to the students too, which was
Oh,
nice.
nice. That is nice.
And then the students wrote they wrote poems about the soup, whether or not they liked it.
Uh-oh.
It was so funny because
What kind of soup
it was
was it?
vegetable soup
Uh-huh.
and the boys did not like
Don't mind me.
the soup.
I don't like vegetable soup either.
They really did.
Oh. That's funny.
We had to do things. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kids love when other teachers come in, I think.
The apology letters we had to do.
Oh. That's awful.
Been all good sense of that.
We wrote to firefighters during a fire safety unit.
Oh,
They had tons of
that's
questions.
cool.
I'm like, let's just write a letter.
That's good.
So that was good. I've also heard if you write a letter to a Disney character, they send you a postcard back. I've never tried it, but that's what I've heard from other teachers.
That's cool. Oh, where's my Jessica when I need her? I don't know how to work this.
So it's interesting, all of these are great things, but they're all letters.
Yeah.
How do you think of other audiences that are not writing a story
Yeah.
form?
Oh, now one thing that we did, which I thought was really interesting when I taught fifth grade, we studied, we were writing opinion and whether or not hot Cheetos and Takis were good for you. And so they had to read certain articles about it. And one of them talked about how, kids were going to ER quite a bit because of that, the burning and et cetera. And they also watched news clips about how certain districts were banning them and how some of the waste was coming out red, and so it was scaring parents because they had eaten so much.
Is it real? Is it true?
I mean, they were in these articles. So they had to write from the perspective of different people. So I gave them a scenario like, 5 people have been to the nurse because they had a tummy ache after eating blah, blah, blah. But then again, it's a letter. But writing to the nurse or writing as the nurse to parents, asking them to consider not having if they felt that way, or just some of them were the principal, so they wrote from different perspectives.
That's really good to give
And
them
it's not
guys like
political.
themselves totally change their role.
Yeah, so setting that purpose for reading, now read as if you were the little girl in the hospital with the belly ache. Read as if you were a mom having to get up at 2 in the morning, figure it out.
I'm thinking about trying to do like a slam poetry activity. Like I have a few poets that I follow on YouTube that I really like, and they do cultural language, some like simulation poems, and I just think it'd be fun. I haven't tried it yet, but maybe knowing that they're gonna have to read it may help students.
I'm gonna take it and reading it like, wasn't it like on Hannah's, he was trying to get her to do topics and everything, and she was gonna do visit family in Mexico. And I was thinking her audience would even kind of view family as like a ring and remembrance. It's so it would kind of be like a journal entry or like a memoir kind of thing. So like trying to change it. I mean, you said when the girl was talking about the Chinese Revolution and how she has like her audience and her other kids, she's got to use simpler language than if it was a teacher she used. So I guess when I was reading that, because I always think, okay, the teacher, the student, and I'm thinking, well, maybe if they make it more personal for them, it's going to completely change it because they say it can be far more informal, like a social conversation. So that might help with that, like 90%.
Yeah.
Right, for the
Maybe you could take
teachers.
that kernel that this is a history piece from my family or whatever, you could change it like, teach this oral tradition to your younger sibling, or explain it to somebody from another culture, or then turn it into a history class and change.
That's awesome, yeah. Because they also mention author studies and they start talking about styles, and I was just sitting here making a list of authors to kind of start doing that, like Eve Bunting. I mean, she takes everything from her life, and then like the butterfly, she then went and did all that research and then turned it into a fictional story, even though 2 main characters were members of her own family. And like, I was just reading through Jacqueline Woodson's, and hers are about family. Margaret Peter Haddock's has always got that science fiction twist, so that even if they see that, they can even add that into their own. And that might make it more interesting. Like, if there's a kid that's interested in science fiction.
Patricia extension with Patricia.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
It was just like, what books do I have?
Well, I was thinking Eve Bunting because she does all social issues.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but if they mentioned doing those author studies and they even help with getting the right styles, and that would then also change who their audience
What
is
was the
going to
last
be.
name you just said?
Eve Bunting, Bunting. She's her books.
One green
Been
apple.
around
What
for
kind
a
of
long
level
time.
are they? Are they chapter or?
They're picture books.
She has chapter books too,
Yeah,
though.
but there's like a day's work, Fly Away Home,
Yeah, Fly Away Home, One Green Apple is the wall.
Smoky Night, The Wall. So The Wall's on Vietnam, Veterans Wall. Fly Away Home's Bellboy, and that he lived in the airport.
Oh, yeah.
Smoky Night is about riots in California. A
I've
Day's
read that.
Work is
Oh,
an
wow.
immigration, like an immigrant comes in, grandfather, and trying to get him to work, find work. So she does tons of lots
One
of
Green
social
Apple
issues.
is a Pakistani girl and goes to the orchard with her classmates, and she's like the only Hijabi in the group and the only one who doesn't speak English. And she has, everybody else has a red apple, but she has a green one. And then they like make cider, and
that goes with like, so.
Yeah, that's really good.
But by having them analyze that they can take their own style,
Mhm.
turn it how they
Use it as a metric.
I always tell them you have to write personal narrative. This show you've got a choice, you know, because there's some that, I mean, I'm tired of reading about Cedar Point. And they're 10 and 11, so I mean, I think it'd be neat to say, you know what, you can choose now. Like, here's your choice, here's how some authors have done it. Talk about, because most of the kids, most of the Patricia Flocka buttons, regular classroom teachers use a ton. And so they'll be like, oh, I already read that book, great, you're listening again, and I'll listen to these components of it. And so then they can tie that into it and then get generate their own ideas. So, but reading that is like, I think that they have a choice because they love choice, which we don't give them enough of.
Margaret Peterson Haddix is local.
She's
Yeah,
coming in the building this year.
Yeah, she lives in
This will be her
Dublin.
second time. So,
And Haddix, Peterson Haddix. And a lot of authors, now don't quote me on this, but a lot of them will Skype with classes too. If you go to like the Microsoft Skyping page, you can get connected with people. And I know like I've tweeted to authors before, like we used she writes with Bob Probst. Kylie Beers, there it is. Kylie Beers and Robert. I forget his last name. Anyway, they've written a lot of books together, like teacher books. Their newest one is Disruptive Thinking. But they, I love that I can't remember anything. Anyway, we used a lot of their guideposts, I think is what they're called, in our class. And so we would always attach them with pictures of what our kids were doing with them. And they always would tweet us back. And I know even my daughter loves the popularity papers written by Amy Ignatow. They're graphic novels. There's 7 of them, even though I work 4. There's 7. And on a little side note, so every year I get my kids each a hardback book of something that they've enjoyed that year or something.
My students, your own
My
children.
own children, my flesh and blood. So I get hardback, and then I put a picture of them from that school year, and I write a note, like she's the other. And so a couple of Christmases ago, my daughter loved these books, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get a copy of this book. And so I found her on Facebook. She wouldn't, I couldn't direct message her on Twitter because she didn't follow me. So I had to go to Facebook and send her a note. And I was like, I would really love to get a signed copy of one of your books for my daughter for Christmas. And no joke. She was like, okay, you need to call this lady at this bookstore and she'll set it all up. I was like, okay. So I called the lady in Philadelphia. She contacted Amy, who then drove to the bookstore, signed a copy of the book for me. Then that beautiful little bookstore in Philadelphia wrapped it and mailed it to me for Christmas. Of course, I unwrapped it because I wanted to write my note, and then and I took a video of my daughter opening it on Christmas morning, and then I sent it back to the bookstore, and Amy Ignatow. I was like, oh my God, she loved your book. Because they love that. I mean, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's unfortunate you can't tweet it. But when you can at home, you gotta, I always tag the authors in it. Because you never know, you know, you would send you a free book or something too, you know? I always ask for things. I'm like, how about, or for companies, like, really love to try your idea paint, which is like dry erase paint. Got a free sample. Right? Doesn't hurt that. They don't know who I am.
We had a year where one of our gen ed teachers had the students create picture books. And that was really.
How did she do it?
She did some kind of something.
Nice.
And sent them off somewhere, I don't know if it was Shutters, such and such or whatever.
Shutterfly or
Yeah,
something.
and they came back hard bound, and they were really so excited.
Or is it like a company? Because I know every year, certain teachers at our school, there's a certain, they do a hardback book, and there's a certain page you have to do, and you do it in pencil, and you have to do it in marker, and you can only do it on one side of the page.
Yeah,
You can get like the whole school.
and then
or
parents
several
get
classes.
invited.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you get it free,
Scholastic will do that too.
And then you can buy extra.
then you can
copies.
buy it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our school does that, so classroom.
That's really, did they take them the whole year to?
No, it was just one of those fun things they did at the very end of the year when they finished testing and they didn't feel like. No, the kids didn't feel like,
Right,
they
they-
think there was anything else to learn, because sometimes they think, oh, we're done.
Yeah,
So
right.
I thought it was really creative of the teacher to have them, well, now you can teach someone else. Let's create a picture.
I love that.
I'm looking at this list and I just got my ProLingua catalog in the mail. And so, I'm gonna order verdicts, which is like a social issues opinion piece thing, it looks like. And so we're looking at like legal things you could do, like, for opinion pieces, like court summations or, legal briefs maybe, and they were simplified for the older kids, so it'd be like a super formal audience maybe.
If it creates a social space, you have to hit like current issues.
Mhm.
And we did where they had to choose a side, like we gave them the articles, like I think it was when, a couple years ago, with the body cams for police officers. And there was a bunch of other ones that you again be very careful with what we picked and stuff, but they had to choose a side and then they had to create a video of some sort of promoting that side of it, that kind of thing. They did it on video.
Uh-huh.
I think that would go with your audience would be,
I'm thinking if we take like, you read the thing that's like a social issue, maybe we could compare how is society like our school. If that's so, then how is this issue, like, what's the parallel for school, and then write it about the school issue rather than the touchier larger
Yeah.
issue.
Get a little stressful this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was really.
Yeah. It's hard to keep my opinions to myself. Okay. So we kind of talked about the plot mountain. But I was in a class where they used the somebody wanted but so on page 74, and I honestly had never heard of it. Another team that I feel like maybe I missed in class or something.
that looks so cool.
I know, so I put a little around that.
I didn't know about it either until last year. Came up at one of our meetings, but there's a video on YouTube that's a catchy little song that they play so that they memorize
Oh,
this
really?
somebody wanted but so. And it's, they were singing along, we were sitting, I made a dance, and they were like getting into it. So every time we would use it, they sit there and sing the song.
We used it first for summarizing because they could not
Right.
summarize, and then applied it to writing. So they didn't have to do a somebody wanted but so then. We had then as like the wrap up. And we also put somebody wanted but so then on the plot mountain.
Oh, cool.
So they could like see it. And they had their choice of like how they wanted to plan things, but that was one way that they could plan out their story. But we started doing it like with what we read. The Most Magnificent Thing is one of my like favorite books to do for read aloud. It would work well for any age. She's like making something great, but gets mad, and then like there's a really clear climax. She smashes her thumb. She like calms down, and then she finally makes it. And it's not perfect, but we always map it. the most magnificent thing. It's on Get Epic. Have you guys ever used it?
I've heard of it.
GetEpic.com has like a billion books.
Is it like an ordering site or?
No, they're online.
Okay.
So an author's reading them. So some of them are some of them you just read. Like you can get it. It was really fun until they started.
It's called Get Epic.
Yeah, and then it's an app and it's like ebooks. Some are read alouds and some will read along. Let me see if I
And
can-
I just made my own account and they just use
Yep.
me.
That's what I did.
They just use my school email and I just made the password like our school mascot. And they just put my info in. put it
So they
under
can
me.
just use on the school computer.
Yep.
Oh.
They use
That's what we were doing,
Chromebooks.
but then one person kept changing everybody's like name to.
Our kids, I didn't make a class list and so that's why it was okay.
Yeah,
I didn't make a class list.
We have some interesting things and nobody cared. But this is like, and like you can make collections, like I had a short bowel intervention book, like guided reading because all the they have a bunch of scholastic articles on there.
The highlight science ones we
Yes.
found out were on the state
That's what I
test.
meant, highlights.
Were on the state, they were passages
Yes.
based on the state test.
So does that mean that you should have been using them or that it was just
It
like a
just helped you out.
freebie? Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, but I mean,
They were
it's-
on the released ones.
Oh,
Not the,
So
not
we
the
weren't
real
like-
ones.
Oh, okay.
Not the ones we just took in.
One of my classroom teachers when I was younger actually got fired because he gave us the test. Like that happened to a teacher of mine. So like I just
Yeah, no.
he gave us like we took the test and I was like, I know every one of these questions were and I'm not a science person. But he chanted them with us. The whole test.
Okay, yeah,
It's like
no.
that movie Bad Teacher.
We were using,
That's the first thing I just thought of.
we didn't even know.
I don't know.
That was
It must have been a long.
I think he got the test early or something and broke into them. I don't know. I just, it
Once
They
scares
do
me.
get the boxes.
Yeah.
Now, so.
Yeah, like they have like, I put them on the computer, like what is an informational text? And they can read all that, but they also have videos, they have graphic novels. So I can put graphic novels on there because they're obsessed with them.
Sure.
Like they can read and then I can keep track of who's reading.
I didn't know that. What is the years?
And like they can zoom in, they can do it on their tablet or on a computer.
I didn't know. That's what
Yep.
Have you used Raskins? Do you like it better than
We don't have RAS kids. in
It's
fifth grade.
expensive.
Yeah. I think Alex said he might get
It's nice.
I'm trying to.
But like I leveled like to try and do guided reading instead of doing a whole book. I think I said that LLI. Like QRS fiction highlights. Band. And then I just sign it to them. That's really cool. And that is not a sound book. You can see other teachers like libraries.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah, if you have like, because of my like demographics, I did not give them even the option to pay. But, cause I know, like, they can't afford lunch, they can't afford this, but I think like for parents, for home use, it's $5 a month. And then your kid gets their own login, but I just gave them mine. Because- And then when I took it away, some of them realized that they could make their own, just pretend to be a teacher.
Oh.
And I was
Their
like,
district
well,
emails.
yeah. I was like, I'm not letting you on anymore because I will not be liable for this, but you're not on my account.
See, our kids' email addresses are different.
Ours are
Double
numbers.
Students.
Oh,
Student
Ours is
numbers and
double.
then
There's double
But like,
students.
figured it out. But it was funny because this is the one kid who probably could have afforded it.
Well, you know.
He put his friends on his there as a class, so.
Well, at least they're reading.
Yeah, exactly. You
It's
have
not gonna
all
be
of the
shady
big
if
names.
we're doing it to get like
Yeah.
educational resources.
Yeah, right.
And like I had to like stop reading. And
Yeah,
I love that
it's
from
a bad problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really like,
Then it helps them because like reading on a screen is so different from reading in a book. Just get them like a little bit oriented, like switching pages.
Mm. I
So
much
that
prefer books.
fun test. Me too.
So, teach.
Wait, no, I want you to, you're the facility.
No. I am just here. How many words? For research.
I have a question about when, should have.
No.
Yes, you should have. When talking about using the best words.
Mm.
And so they have this nice chart here, the list of emotions on page 79. How do you help your beginning and even intermediate students pick the right words? Because we say, oh, choose a different word other than this. You can look at this list. I don't know what any of these words are, how can I, what them tell me?
we used to, like, we had a page that had faces that you made
Yeah.
that go with it, and we would go through, like, getting the school year, like, the first couple weeks, and we would write, like, words that they would recognize and put it over it. And so that way they could then know what it meant. Sometimes the faces would help too.
Like what? I mean, just
So if it was like a-
because I mean,
It was
we're
like
like
a
happy,
ego.
sad.
They had like ego, so they showed somebody who had like a face of being egotistical, like snorting
Okay.
kind of thing. They had like dreadful. It was more in the eyes that they have on the picture. So dreadful. I mean, take up what I can't do. You know.
You think about that, but we did before, like you go to the paint store and like just grab a bunch of swatches. Just be like, I'm looking. And then you take them, so you have one that's like happy. So
And you have
like
synonyms of
synonyms,
happy into
it's
degrees.
like degrees.
I also
like-
would do like
yeah.
yellows.
They actually
would be
make
happy,
those.
red would be the angry.
Or you could
blues
do
would
it
be the
like,
calming
I'm
kind of,
annoyed,
Polaris.
angry, furious,
Store.
pretty sure.
Lakeshore, thank you. They have them in cans, they're like little paint cans.
Oh,
So
really?
they have them for like a K1 band or a K-2 band, and there's just 3 of them, and they're little swatches. The only thing I didn't like about them is they're all connected together. So there'll be like
yeah.
10 of
Take
them,
them
and you're,
apart.
and yeah, I wasn't wild about it, but and it was just 3 instead of like,
Yeah.
like for your older students, bigger, but they're color coded, so it's like happy, cheerful, you know, and it's progressive,
Right.
big, huge, gigantic, or, you know, whatever.
Lowe's has the right kind for what you need, Walmart does not. Walmart only has individual one color cards.
Oh.
And I went and I was like,
Yeah, and then Menards has
Menards
like
has, like,
the
these
3 or the
these ones.
5,
The
like the
wide
ones that
ones.
have a big strip in it, like as a gradient,
Mm.
Walmart does not.
Lakeshore always has a huge sale in the summer, like clearance sale.
Do they?
I was trying to look up to see what it was.
I'm excited about, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I did a pampered chef party. This relates, bear with me. Did a pampered chef party online with my friend Holly. And I was like, but I did it. And part of her, not only did I get my $90 worth of free stuff and my 3 half-priced items and my yibba babada boots, I also got a gift card. She took 10% of the sales and gave me a gift card to Lakeshore. So I could get buy some stuff.
It looks like they're having everything here's is $10 off
Oh, really?
already on their website.
You can
Oh,
even
it's
do,
July.
No,
you can
maybe.
even do a mini lesson on that. We read a book and or like a picture book, for example, and then you might just ask, how do you think the author feels?
Mm.
Because sometimes we want to encourage them to show or express it without saying the words, you know? Or we want them to stop saying it.
It's so
So
nice.
we just took time and brainstorm, well, what's another way to say it? And just kind of 5 new words, slap it on a chart and have it underneath
I like that.
happy.
I think
Just
it's a
takes
lot
a
of
couple
modeling.
minutes. It does.
Yeah, we did the same thing with their narrative writing. It was all then and,
Right.
and, so we went back to the most magnificent thing. And it looks like this, it's really cute. And this is fun because you can like project it on your screen when you're doing read aloud. And we read it again, it's like a close read, and we made a document on your chart paper of all the transition words the author used. And then sorted them, and I was like, look, she didn't just do and.
Oh, that's nice.
And then
I
she
like
was
that.
sad.
What was the title of it?
It's called The Most Magnificent Thing.
And that's is that a
Yes.
picture book?
And I have the hard copy, so I'll like read the hard copy, but then put this up on the screen behind me. But it's good for like Plot Mountain because you can see like she gets madder, and then there's like the climax. And it changes. It's a pretty clear. There's a nice theme too that you can go into. Just cute.
I like these words.
Yeah. We use this for science too, for the scientific process. She's
What was her name? The author's name?
Ashley Spires. And then she has another graphic novel series called Blinky the Space Cat. Oh, I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. Or is it Blinky? It's hysterical.
You know, Michelle, the first thing I thought when I looked at this list of emotions is I would not have capitalized every word.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
So I was like, my kids are gonna write all those in capital
No,
letters.
they
None
do
of-
anyhow.
Yeah, they don't.
It doesn't matter.
All the B's and D's are capitals. They don't know how to make lowercase s.
You could start by like teaching one of them, finding the ones that are the same, and then have them color the chart themselves.
Oh,
and
that's
then we can
good.
write it out,
And the ones
like-
that are, s-
And then you could cut it up, and I was thinking I wrote myself a little, put something here.
Say that again.
So Rebecca with the win.
I was thinking, like, if you took this chart, for example, to start doing adjectives, you could, like, so take angry and pick a color for it, so angry's red. And then go through and tell them now color furious red or whatever,
Oh.
or another gradient of it. And then once they have everything color coded as a whatever, and then cut it out, you have them resort it, and then once you have that, then you can put your gradients back in order or something, I don't know.
Or you
Yeah.
could number them, or they could make their own,
Something.
whatever, like a staircase, if that makes
Yeah.
sense to them.
Yeah, anything like, if they could do it themselves, I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
And they could put them, like, sometimes they mean the same thing, so like having the gradient isn't like next to each other
Right.
too. Like cut and paste.
Well, I
That'll
don't do
just-
all the
that
coding
takes
myself, I don't.
I don't,
Me too.
It takes two
Takes
class
too
periods to cut out one word sort.
I don't know if it's like the kindergarten changes or what, but
I time. Maybe get this person, and then, oh, who's the first one?
cutting
You
and
get class
pasting
number 40.
is.
Oh, you get it. And you're like, oh.
But they're strong skill.
I don't know, this is.
Because when I was in twice a week.
Yeah.
we're-
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And I got to take
Oh,
my
yeah.
time working on scissor skills.
Right.
You can
Hopefully
interact with
somebody else.
notebook.
They do. I'm in there with them.
For me, even the logic of being, now stack those together, and one cut gives you, like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
One cut, one
Well, in my Japanese students,
Yeah.
that's a big generalization.
just because it has to be so
On
on the exact line. It's okay if the edge is at a catty corner, not at a.
Then they're like, oh, wow.
Or sometimes even like gluing in the box. I'm like, it's fine, it's there, you made the answers right, let's.
No, it has to be exactly where they are.
Also, wait, what is?
No, you have to get the tape. I get a lot of my Chinese, my students from China.
Yeah.
Or if that's not right, and then I write it, of course, my writing's not neat enough, so
Oh.
then they have to erase it
Oh.
and write it again.
I have kids that are pushing my hand out of the way. Okay, here's how you spell it. So the chart on top of 82, things I like, things I don't like, trying to get ideas for writing. I've used that before where I've had lists like that. I think that some kids that might seem overwhelming. I know in a 6th grade class that I went into this past year, they used the heart map No, it was, it was already divided for them and they just threw in things that, meant something to them. I don't know, ice cream, soccer ball, or whatever, to try to generate ideas.
No, I think I just said, the heart map.
Oh, the heart map, and you can Google it, you'll find lots. Did anybody look up fan fiction?
No, but I wrote that down.
Fan fiction is when you make up stories based
Well,
on.
no, it's like a website.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
mentioned
wanna
it
go
there.
there.
Unless it's kid specific, I would be very careful.
Yeah.
That fanfic gets very
Weird.
weird. Yeah. it's special for
What?
them. I don't like, they like to take characters and do.
Okay, I
fun
won't
things
go
with them.
on it.
Bob on home them?
Yeah.
That's a
Like
nice
just
way
weird
of putting it.
couplings
They're
and weird
writing.
sexuality issues, things get very
Yeah.
They're writing.
But
Okay, well, I'll look at that.
it's an interesting internet thing. So be careful.
Great. Let's see what else. I was trying to read this morning.
Kids want.
I didn't want to search. I never wanted to.
So I'm curious about paragraph
Yeah,
reads.
yeah.
I'm kind of shaky about what would be a good way to do that without making everything like formula.
I Googled it, and there's a ton of different things you can do that you can choose to fit with what you're wanting to do with
How
them.
do you prevent them from then making all of their paragraphs that exact?
How to rewrite it, and they have to change it. Say, okay, now change this section, maybe, or.
We're used to it.
Just make it a habit rather than.
Being the same, like.
Like, I think that me as a language learner, well, I don't know, this is not older, but like if someone gave me a very structured, like a paragraph, like this is that poem, I guess.
It was back farther.
Okay,
so
Like, I think I would get in the habit of making it look and sound almost exactly like that, and while that's good to get the habit down, like, I think I would have a hard time as a teacher getting them away from that.
That you could do a writing competition. And you could even do another text or another writing of something, okay, now here's yours and here's, what's the difference?
Okay.
And then what could you do to yours to then make it sound a little bit more like this? And then maybe that would be like where writing conference is, or how can you and I go through and change this, like, let's try a different transition phrase here, or a word, and then, but that would be like a really good individual, like, writing conference. Like, this would be a great start, but it's, I agree with you, because they will rely on it, depend on it, to take the step forward. I would then go to that step.
I never called it paragraph frame, but I've been using them for years. I was like, oh, wow, look at me.
So it's gratifying when you like see something you're doing and get an official.
I know. I don't see my name at the bottom.
I was gonna say,
credit.
It's like not that bad.
I know. Oh, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine on the way here, actually. And at the conference that I went to, I did 2 presentations, and one was about blogging with middle school kids. And this lady came up, and she was like, so I work for, I don't remember now, I'm just getting your business card. I was like, she's like, we're always looking for, guest bloggers who will pay you. And I was like, what? And so I'm telling my friend this, right? And I'm like, we always, at least me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think that the things that I do are just like mediocre, like who would want to know what Melissa's doing in her rent? But then when somebody says, I'm doing something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody wants to,
Yeah.
see what you're doing.
I need to get on the computer and talk to fire. But I can see too, if you felt like your kids were using it as a crutch wherever it went.
Second graders in particular for me, like we were working on, because we, in third grade is when this last year we started really, we were using writing as our TBT. And so in second grade, I didn't have to hit as one of those, it's like the TBT. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
It's like OTES, but we don't really do OTES, so it's like we track ourselves.
Oh, right, yeah.
Data,
Pure school.
Is that like
It's
the
like
SLOs?
Yes, yes. But we don't
Basically,
have
they're
to-
grade
our-
level meetings,
Yeah,
but now
Yeah.
they're called teacher-based.
it's just data
It
tracking.
used to be PLCs, if you're familiar with
Yeah.
that term.
That's what we call them.
I was just trying to get my second graders up to speed so that, you know, and I got these two girls in particular, like, they start, their writing was much improved, but it was exactly word for word what I had taught them to do, and then I felt like I was just out of this service, like, I didn't want them to be regurgitating, but I didn't know how to remove my own voice.
Mm.
Like, I'm having trouble with that.
I think it's good that they have a strong foundation, because you can't go on to something unless you have
Yeah.
one.
That's true.
So I think that's good that they're listening to you, and so now maybe, like, just, yeah, like she said. I think, she said, I think it's probably easier jumping off the house to make it more complex.
Right, yeah.
But you have that basic.
And I think maybe giving them like, I hate to use the word word bank, but, you know, these are some other words that we could use for this transition. You know, what do you think would sound good here or whatever?
They had lists of those.
They did. It
Right,
was
and that's why I really like this, like, word gradient idea, because, you know, for English is word choice, like, things get very subtle and very nuanced, and that's the fun of writing, is finding that very particular word, and for me, I am a writer, and I like to write, but it's intuitive to me, and so I have a hard time not being like, oh, this sounds best, but I don't have an explanation, or I don't have a
Right.
scaffold, I'm like, we'll just make it sound that way, I'm like, oh, it's not, I don't know how to pull out.
I like to say, when we write in English, we do it this way. It's always my catchphrase. Well, when we, no substantiation behind that, but.
Page 75,
Smart.
did you see on page 75 at the bottom?
Mhm.
The narrative, okay.
I made a
They
little
are a
packet for my kids,
bunch.
like I just found like on Pinterest these little images,
Oh,
printed it, copied it, stapled them together, so every kid had a like
I love that.
writing helper packet. So it was like, the first page was good sentence starters for topic sentences. So the 5 different options, and then the second page was different types of transition words. And then the third page was conclusion sentence starters, and then the final page was like an editing checklist. It was only like this big, but it helped. But then towards the end of the year, they started just opening the book and then, okay, that one. And they weren't really picking or remembering. And so then, like,
maybe you take it away halfway or
yeah,
3/4, whatever.
right.
I know, when we were looking, again, this is 8th grade, but it's not any different. There was a narrative transition list of words. There was one for argumentative writing, and they're really cute. And they're free. And, you know, I never even thought about breaking it down for what type of writing you were doing, you know, I just assumed they just all were.
So you did beginning sentences?
I did topic sentence, transition words. I don't think I had sequence words specifically. It was just like connecting words, not necessarily number, sequence, whatever. Conclusion sentence, and then like an editing checklist that was really simple. It was like spelling, punctuation, something basic. But that didn't really go well because I couldn't remember not to write on it. So it wasn't like,
Yeah, laminated.
thank you.
Mhm.
But it was specifically for opinion writing, so it was kind of focused because that's what we were hitting the hardest. So maybe next time I would add other things to it, make it better, and maybe probably laminate it so that I can do it.
So editing. I know, right? I normally, when my kids are in the mainstream class, I usually don't have them peer edit.
There's
Because
they
hello.
It drives me nuts when they type it on the Chromebook and they don't even do a spell check on it. I'm like, seriously, you have spell check? Use your tools. No, I'm like, oh.
Mhm. But I find that is difficult, and I think it's difficult even for some mainstream kiddos to revise and edit.
They're not taught it.
Yeah, and you know, I personally, I don't do it well either, because I'm just like, and then I send it out, and then I'll have somebody go, hey, Melissa, you spelled that word wrong. And I'll go back in and fix it, but I'm not a reviser, editor, reviser. Not, the teacher that I taught with was, and so she would take forever to get a blog post out, and I would have had like 17 done by the time she was finishing that first one. I was like, oh my gosh. But I find it hard, and so I usually just do my own, like I would edit theirs for them, and then talk them through it. Anybody have any suggestions for that?
Well, I had a couple students that were, they were, I would want to say advanced, but we
Right.
And we had just had the teaching point about sticking to one topic instead of making a list of everything that we had to. So they sat together and read their narratives to one another. And so they just listened. That was all they did, was just listen to see if it was on topic. And so then the one student said, well, you're talking about blah, blah, blah. What happened next? Or you started telling me about this, and now you're talking about that. And so it was just that simple one thing, you know, and then maybe the next time you work with a partner, now we're looking for is to make sure that every letter is a capital letter versus having the whole, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
To have to look at everything.
Right.
But just maybe if you have your rubric, just looking at one aspect of the rubric each day today. And we've done that with our conferencing today. We're coming along and see if everyone
You
has
do quick mini lessons on those. And I
Right.
took, like, we were doing, they had to add dialogue into their writing. So we took a story they were familiar with. It was going someplace special. And we just did the dialogue up there and talked them through it. And then you could type it yourself and take the punctuation off. Okay, now how would I do this? And then, okay, now go and put it into your writing.
We
And
did that
then-
with end punctuation. We had
With capitals. we did
no
all of that.
punctuation, just a bunch of
Oh, I love those.
and is also.
Yeah.
And. So like we looked at the, read aloud, and I type it without, and they come to go correct it on that. They could check. We do.
Yeah, that really helped. I forgot that we did that, kind of broke it down.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. I find when you get higher in the grades, of course, they assume that they can do 850 million things. And some of the 8th grade teachers would have them, okay, you're gonna highlight your topic sentence in purple, then you're gonna highlight your 3 supportive sentences in color, and then you're gonna, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how about we underline your topic sentence, and then we number your, or, you know, it was such a process. I'm like, let's just focus on one thing. Like, oh,
Yeah, it depends on the kid with that though, because like we would do that, like, hey, and especially narratives, a setting would be a color, this would be a color, and then I watched them that they took that into other parts of writing different, they put it in their opinion, and I'm like, hey, you make sure you have these things, and I watched a couple kids go out and get colors themselves and just instantly, so you could, that's when you give them the choices.
right.
So you
Some
could do the
kids are
color
really
coded
help.
or do it that way, but a lot of, they started to apply it to their other writing, just make sure they had things.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think it's great. I think the thought behind it is good,
It's just her delivery.
but you gotta give us some, you know,
Yeah.
or tell us what all that means
Yeah.
before you just throw it on a piece of paper
Right.
and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't that background stuff is what I
No,
mean.
we would do
Sorry.
it with, like our model essay, we did it,
Yeah,
topic sentences. We did like, so we did cake and icing, like evidence and explanation, and you had to have a good balance. So then one color was the cake and one color was the icing, so if you had too much, it didn't taste right. And that's why I'm like, you know, it's nice to,
I like, yeah, well,
if you're just grading the process, it's nice to be able to just go through and see what they think
Yeah.
are the supporting details
Yes.
highlighted in a certain color.
Well, I like color coding stuff too, but it's hard.
We did stoplights, so the first sentence was green, and then the conclusion was red, and then the middle would just be yellow. But that was for the guys. We
So that focuses you on a key topic and
A little bit more general and having like many specific colors for.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely
it was a
different
little
fifth grade
overwhelming.
through for each person.
I'm K-5. It depends on the year. This year I was at 2. I've been at 1. I've been at 5. Whatever they want me for. Yeah, it's always growing. It started with me and the coordinator, and now we have like 7 of us. So it just depends on the year. But it's getting better. I'm at 2 instead of 5 or 6. It's better.
The most I had was 4.
It's just like there's just no point of me when I'm
No,
driving everywhere.
It's
It's like
called ineffective.
Yeah.
It's called. I mean, you could be the world's best.
Yeah.
But. What was I writing? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just doing great.
I know I have this.
You could even introduce that with like, I've seen people kids books about like traffic. Start with it. Give the people actually like the color progression because first graders probably don't know traffic patterns.
I like writing conferences. I don't use them enough. But I know this past year I did a lot of reading conferences. And what we did, I don't take credit for a lot of the stuff I talked about, but we set up a Google form that we could reuse and reuse. We had like a drop-down menu with kids' names, so we could select it. And then we had just random questions, not random, they were the same questions every time we met with them. But, what page are you on? What have you liked about this book? Or, what I can't remember exactly what they were, but.
So then you can just type it right there on their Google form and then you
Right.
have their whole. record.
Exactamundo, right? So I just would carry my laptop and
That's very efficient.
right? And then so the Google form throws it into a Google sheet for you, a spreadsheet, which is lovely, so you don't have to do all the work. And there is a Google extension called Row Call, ROWCALL, Row Call, ROWCALL, kind of like pout. Oh, hello. So roll call. So what it will do is it will. You have to create sheets for each kid with their name across the bottom, And then you click roll call, and then so all of Michelle's things will be on her page. All of Mary Beth's things will be on her page. You can just click on the kids' names. You can see all the writing or reading conferences that you've had with them. They've been on that same book for 6 months, but you can't remember because you talk to every kid, And it's good data to have at your fingertips. And, all you're doing is typing into that Google form when you meet with them. It's a good way you could form, small mini lesson groups with that. And did I ever tell you about DraftBack, the Google extension? DraftBack, not so much maybe in the little kids, but for your older kids that might be plagiarizing. No, not our kids. So DraftBack is another extension, and it's a button that appears on the top of the Google Doc. You press it, and then it creates a time-lapse video of the document and how it was typed, right?
Oh.
So it might be like their name and then they spell it wrong, so they
Oh,
backspace.
you can watch how they type.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little creepy.
So then you see like a whole paragraph appear, and you're like, hold on a second, how did I paste that? And then look, I just found it online.
Oh,
We had to use that a
wow.
couple times.
Oh, draft.
Draft back, like there's a draft. Yeah.
Let's check out my daughter's things and live in one seat, so I can just go on.
I think writing conferences are so powerful. I just think that we have to change like our mindset about them and the kids' mindset. Like if we treat it as something to, I want to say, like celebrate your writing. Instead, it's kind of like, come here, Johnny. So I'm here to
Right.
mark up your,
Right.
you know,
Good point.
and we do that. But I think editing is one thing, but the power of writing is really in that revision stage. And so any room that I've been in, you know, or when I, you know, had direct responsibility for students, I try to help teachers organize the time because it's the one thing that gets the chaff.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm telling you, if you learn to love your writing conferences, you're gonna see a difference. And I said, also, share those drafts with parents. The problem is that kids only see, like, you only feel really good about your writing when you see where you came from. They almost chuckle on that first draft because they go, oh my God, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. And then they see the finished copy. I don't know, I just think that the revision, two things I think we have to pick one thing, like Lisa was saying, to really target one or two things. Like, is it that there's not enough content? Or is it that you're all over the place? They started to us to your point, ended with a spider in the kitchen. Like, wow, you know, what happened? Yeah, what happened?
Totally.
But I think it's good feedback to give kids, and then I think that sometimes everything in education is so rushed. So what if it takes you a long time to write a really good piece of writing? You're going to feel so good about what you did instead of rushing through. Does anybody now, this is really, you're not going to rack your brain. But when I used to do writers workshops, so we wrote every day. This is what we did. Does anybody remember how to make a book out of contact paper? The book cover?
Yes.
Okay. So you lay your construction paper down, you cut off the four corners, and it becomes like a book binding. Oh, it's so old school. I bet if you go to a closet in your school.
But you know what, teachers, the reason why I remember is because the philosophy is you still have them writing every single day, but to make their composition look their journal. So they bring in things from like, it could be pictures, it could be stickers, it could be different things. And then I only did this 1 year because I was like, I'm not covering 50 some books, so I got Paramount here, but. And then you put the contact paper over it and then it's become their writing.
Like the clear.
Yes.
Oh, ours had, they could pick out their colors, so we had some clear, we had whatever, but they illustrated the book and they wrote it, but the prize was after you've done your drafts and your revision, now it's time to come to the publishing table. Let me tell you, they walk so tall and strong and go over there because they did the work, and then they rewrote their book and blah, 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 and then we got it done. I used to actually type my students' books, the last copy, and when they would come in the morning, their typed copies on their desk. Yeah, I had like state schools in the night, but the reward was at the end of the year, they had like 10 books that they actually wrote. Believe it or not, I still see my students to this day, now they're in college, but they'll say, I still have my books from first grade. Do you remember that book I wrote? I have to act like I remember it. But yeah, Cedar Boy Spider story, yeah. But anyway, I was just gonna say, like, I just think that I think sometimes we have inadvertently, because we're kind of like, oh my God, how long is it gonna take for them to rewrite this? We kind of pass that on instead of seeing it as, I'm not in a rush. I'm gonna enjoy this process. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's turned into production. We need to have something hanging in the wall.
Right now.
In the wall, on the wall. We need to call a wall. We need to have, and if you're taking too long, well, what are you guys really doing in there? You know, I mean, not that I've ever asked that question, but You know, your whole story about your contact paper, I'm gonna remember that, but I
So
will take my
good.
kids and like, I will use the color printer. Because who doesn't like a little something color? And I will use, you know, the book binding with the plastic thing. And I remember I was asking people one day, I was like, what are the book binders?
Yeah,
Whatever.
the combs.
Yes,
Binding
the combs,
combs,
yes, the binding combs.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we threw a lot of those away. I went, oh, I was just thinking while you're telling the story, I'm going to go take some and hide them securely in my room. Because I will take them in there and I'll show them how to use the machine. It's just learning.
And an eighth grader could certainly do that.
do.
Fourth graders could use those.
And who doesn't love a nice plastic on your
It makes it very efficient.
Yes.
I just feel like as a teacher, I had to slow myself down. I wanted to fix everything.
My teachers did
You
all
know,
of those.
right. I'm like,
If you
what
would
is
have been
this?
picky on.
Yeah, I had to make myself only pick on like, I want to fix everything.
I like the shutterfly.
So
At least
could
it's-
you just say it one more time,
Oh,
how you walk through the process?
Oh, well, I was just saying at the top of 89, the writing conferences, I think we just have to make time for it. And like you, pick one thing for revision, the most important thing that'll transform their writing. So for some kids, it's content. They just don't have anything, you know? It's a store, I bought Cheerios, that's this. You know,
I was
other,
happy.
right, I was happy.
I was
yeah.
happy. It
Or
was
I was
nice.
sad because my friend made me mad, you know. But so for children picking one thing that they can really work on, but it has to be the most powerful thing to transform their writing. So if it's content or if it's formatting, like she was saying, they're all over the place, and giving them that very specific feedback on it. Lisa, when you write, I need you to stick to one story. You have so many great ideas, but if you want to tell me about Cedar Point, just tell me that. If you want to tell me about the spider, just tell me that. And we'll write another story about the spider next time, or whatever the case might be. The other thing is, I think that we have to really celebrate more. We have to make it seem like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job with this, and you know what I mean? Because writing is slow to see incremental change. But every now and then you see like, what was it that said all of a sudden it transfers to the other kind of writing, you know?
Did you take everything in publishing?
No, absolutely not.
So who got to go to the publishing table? Was it did they pick their favorites? That's another thing we talk about a lot is there's so many pieces that end up getting abandoned because either A, they're taking forever or and B, we might have moved on to another hour that we have to.
They could finish that up at the writing workshop if they wanted to continue that story.
Yeah, I do writer's workshop every day. So for us, it was our normal thing. I never heard in my room, I don't want to write because it's what we do. In this room, we write. If you're not writing, you better be illustrating the picture today. Those are the two choices, you know. And but to answer that question, at some point during a writing conference, you know, that kid that had the 30 stories in their head, I would say, today's the day we decide what is going to be published and what's going to go home for you to finish with mom and dad. And I rubber banded it real cute. And I always put on there an important work going home, and it went home in the backpack. Because
So they didn't write in a journal. Was it like in a note, like a?
I had
folder?
journals, but
Like
I was
loose leaf
more
paper?
intentional about actually producing books. That was kind of my focus, because I wanted to produce a culture of writers, readers and writers. But that was my bent, you know. But I did have some journals, but I didn't use as much because I don't think that kids get as much feedback out of journals.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like,
Because I'm thinking, like, say, for example, I'm the person who, I don't have much content. If I'm writing it in a journal, am I going to want to flip back and forth?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or have a new sheet of paper that I can look at while I'm adding. And I know I find it, sometimes you give them feedback and then they want to erase everything and then start all over. So
We do everything.
what do you all do? You do, oh, do you?
They have to for the test because of the older kids that they have to. So I give them the option. I said Chromebook or not, most of them will do it. And then that way, and they can share it with you, so you can say, and they can highlight what's one area you want me to look at and highlight it, so you look at that, and then make your, because you can add comments to it.
We had bad like they would not transfer from their writing, they had like capital letters. And then they get to the Chromebook and it's like, but they can't type and I don't have enough time to teach them typing skills to,
Yeah.
pick and choose.
I did a webinar online. It was for primary, K-2, and it was about writer's workshop last week. And she is a big proponent of not using a journal, but using books, because she said a lot of kids have trouble really like ending one thing and going on to a new topic when it's all in the same book.
Yeah.
And she really liked doing little booklets. She publishes booklets for him for a lot of things, because she said she liked like a 3-page format because it's good for beginning, middle, end. You know, first page is your beginning, second page is your middle, you know, just for the really young writers. And I know when I did books with my kids this year, having write books, that was their favorite stuff. That was the things that they worked the hardest on. And, you know, they had a finished project. And
Did you staple those 3 pages together?
I think she does. Yeah, and when I did a book at the end of the year, we actually revised 5 books. So focusing on adjectives and riddles. Anyway, but yeah, we made little books.
Yeah, my son covered,
And they had to illustrate it.
I don't know, I think, so everything is like about picking and choosing. And sometimes, you know, like you can do every single Monday, what'd you do this weekend? Well, you're gonna always get the same. I played, I went outside, I did nothing, I watched TV. Fine, and you can, you know, dig at it. But how much better for a kid to come in and he's on page 4 of this great story about a puppy that was lost in the woods, and I don't know, something where their voice comes out, their imagination comes out, and they actually get to attend to something. Because we're always complaining about kids' attention span, but sometimes we contribute to it because we're like, come on, no, quick, you know, and there's a time for quick writes, and I think there's a time for journaling, but it's something about making kids stay with something over time, but also allowing them to abandon it. Because real authors do. They start off on a book some time and go, this is going nowhere. I have no idea. The puppy is lost in the woods. He's going to stay there. You know, but also being able to defend why they're tired of that book. I'm kind of stuck. I want to write a new story, whatever. But it does take time. But it also comes from, they know that those 5 kids are coming to my table today to talk to me where they are in their story, to grapple with something. Okay, well, before you get rid of it, do you want the puppy to be found, or is this going to be a sad story where the puppy doesn't get found and the little boy has to go get a pet rabbit? You know, maybe that is a sad story. Sorry, dog lovers hate dog. But you know what I mean. But look at that rich oral language that comes out of those conversations and making a kid think about their own thinking. It's so much better than the prompt on the thing. You know, write a story. You were a snowman. You know, how do you feel? I feel cold. And then, you know, some kids can deal with that and some kids can't.
It's really hard when you've never seen snow either.
Or you're not connected at all with that, because I'd be inside. I would melt as a snowman because I don't like being cold, so I go inside.
You're making good points. But there are places for the informal writing.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
you might be
Sometimes
doing
I do
it
a
all
quick
at the same time.
Exit ticket. But I do an intentional writer's workshop. The other things to me are my extras. But I always make time for deep, thoughtful writing because I think it's important, but hard.
That's that when
Which
you
is
were
why I'm in this class.
a general ed teacher.
General ed, ESL,
Yeah,
and as a
you're-
coach.
You had time to do writer's workshop as an ESL.
Well, I built it into part of my 30, 40-minute block with my unit level kids. So maybe I did 20 minutes of this and then we wrote for 10 or 15 minutes at the end.
So even
I
short,
tried
just a
to do
short
some writing.
period of.
Yeah, but over time to develop some things. I couldn't do the book publishing as much as I wanted to, but I had those plastic combs and I could make those kind of, but I didn't get out the cute contact paper. Sorry, that's very good master. I had too many kids.
So, even, like you're doing the 10 minutes, doesn't that take a really long time for your ELL students to get something?
Oh, yeah, and some days I would have a writing day, like if, you know, if I know I needed to hit that, I would do a mini lesson and then we might write for a longer period of time. Especially my students who also got Title I reading. Because then I knew they had that piece of it, but I knew that Title I teacher was not doing a lot of writing. Writing was it's the hardest skill for our ELLs. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was hitting all the content standards because you have to speak, you have to reread it to me, you know, so. And a lot of storytelling, but I learned a lot about my kids because of their writing. You know, like, I didn't know a lot about the Jordanian culture. I had kind of like put the whole Middle East in one big lump in my mind. And knowing, like, when they would talk about those open markets, we have no idea about that. Like walking down the street for your dinner today. I mean, we go to Kroger, hit it and quit it, you know. But wrestling with someone, arguing over the price of a fig or something, that's foreign to me. I mean, it's foreign to me, you know. I didn't get to live in other.
So I get, I'm sorry to bombard you with
Oh,
all
no.
these questions, but I find this to be so intriguing. But when it comes to the whole, if you're focusing on writing with your students, for example, we talked a little bit before about just those open-ended, just write about something. I think it was even in the book and how sometimes the kids are just, you know, so if you don't like the cutesy prompts
I like
as
them.
much,
I
what
like
kind of, how did you get them to tell you?
There's that
You start with
interest
that
chart
wall.
there. There's how they did in there, how you could do that interest
So like with
chart.
the pre-writing that we talked a lot about that last week too.
Yeah, you could do that and then you could use it, because it says that you could keep adding to it. And you could have like a book of prompts and then, hey, if you're stuck, here's a list of prompts that you could go. Yeah. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, there's different ways to, like we've done it hand and each one was an emotion. What was the event that went with it? A treasure box. So what would you put in your treasure box? And then you drew a big block eye and it was like, I would be like a teacher or a sister or a gardener, you know, those things, and they could choose from those to write stories. So those are other ways to generate ideas. And they get to draw, or I did an I love, and they drew a big heart. And then they would put the different things, and they could pick those things. So,
There's also something I bought at Walmart, it's like story cubes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's these little dice and I have like pictures or whatever on them, so you roll it and then, like, okay, well, this person has to be doing this thing, and then you figure out how to express that.
But you know, we're all always telling stories. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm sure all of your students are glued to when you tell a story about your own kids or what your dog did or where you went. So they're getting the point of what stories sound like, and that you didn't have a prompt for that. You talked about what was in your heart, you know, or when you made the soup. Our writing would be on that common experience. You remember when, you know, Jose put in too many onions and, you know, I don't know.
and that would be fun for perspective, because then you could see it, have them read it aloud, and then talk about, look at how you viewed it versus how you viewed it. So that would be really good for perspective.
Maybe have them start like if they're at that level, you know, you're doing something. My sister just walked over and she cut her hair yesterday. Like, you know, all those stories with kids. You just gotta
Oh,
tell
yeah,
them
they do
something.
just want to tell you something.
In like their, do you use journals, is that what you were saying? Or they have one journal, maybe you could have a blank page with their like interests, whatever format you use, and then when they tell you these little stories that are relevant, say, okay, hold it, put it in your idea page.
And so
then
you can
they'll
write
have
a list of categories.
personal narrative
You
kernels
can
or
glue it
whatever.
in that on the
I just
Front
found
of the
out
back.
at the beginning of like fifth grade, it's always like reading a book. I read another book like this one time, and it was.
The story lasts 20 minutes.
I love those, and you're like.
Can you tell me that later?
We'll talk to you.
All right. Good stuff, ladies.
Blew through the 2 hours.
I know.
That was quick.
I got hungrier as I
Like I've been writing lesson plans out as I go through, like I know it's done now.
I read 4. I guess I must be a chapter. You ready for this week? Because 4 is all highlighted and everything, so I apparently read it last week. No, I'm never an overachiever. That's the issue. I was sitting in the library hungry. I was like, I can't go to class without having read my chapter. By the way, the library was
So what I should have told you when you asked me about culture was Erica had a wonderful time and thoroughly enjoyed it. Her Instagram
Yeah,
post
like,
was,
this is what happens.
I almost